Shalom Baruch Ner Shabbos. This week we'll be continuing the share from last week, as we discussed Barichis, the Geula from Yitzis Mitzrayim, and the Geula by Shani was dramatically different. The Isis and Moisim Nisim and the Floys by Rishon, by Shani there wasn't such a big Isis and Moisim and the Floys. And the reason was because in by Rishon there was they weren't nichshel in any pritzes. And that's why like we umarach barichas gedola. That's why they were zeichet to nisim and flois. Mashrekin by shayni, they were zeichet to geula, b'derech chester, b'derech koishi, b'derech hatava, because they were nichshel in noshim nechariyos. And as we umarach, and that's why the original said by geula shlishis will also be b'koishi b'derech hatava in the beginning, because of they weren't nizar in Parashat המשפחה. Mashek in Geula Rishoina, they were moist nefesh on Parashat המשפחה, as we spoke about Riches, and that was the chiluk between the Geula Rishoina and the Geula Shnia. But I want to continue now, and now Klaus was going through a hard time, and we dive for the Eibush Matzel Klal Yisrael from this Kilipa from Iran, and with that I would like to start our shir with the klipah from Iran. But to understand what the klipah is about, I would like to bring down the Gemara in Masechtas Rosh Hashanah. The Gemara says that Nehemiah spoke to Melech Koresh. Koresh was the king that let Klal Yisrael build the Beis Hamikdash. And the Gemara says that he promised Klal certain things and he didn't do it in the end. Yes, he let Klal build the Beis Hamikdash, but he didn't give them what they needed and different things. Gemara says that Koresh was nechmatz. He was nechmatz. He became sour. Koresh became sour. In the beginning he was good, and then he became sour. How do we know he was nechmatz? Gemara is because it says in Nehemiah that he spoke to the king and the shegel was sitting next to him. Gemara says, what's the shegel? The shegel is a kelef. The Rav said that shegel is a kelef. And the Maral explains that Koresh was mishamish, the tashmish, with the kelef. And Koresh was Melech Paras, and he brings that Esther called Achshverosh, a kelef. We had kelef chidasi. The malchus of Paras had to do with the kelef because they were in Yonei Taiva, and which is merumas in the kelef. He was mishamish, just like Bilam was mishamish with a chamor. Malchi Paras were connected b'sharish with the klavim, and they had and Koresh had a kelef sitting next to him, and which he was mishamish with. And the Maral's marach over there, the Indian, the Dalafka Malchi Paras. All the Masailam, the Indian from Kelev is Murumas and the Taiva, Ein Shom Barichis, B'dvar Mamukim. And Paras is the klipah from Iran, is the Iran is the Paras, the klipah from Iran has to do with the Indian from the Yishmaelim, is the Indian from Taiva, is the Indian from Znus, and the darkest klipah from Yishmaelim is the Iran. And we daven for the Eibishter should be matzel and shoymas from this klipah from Iran, from the Kelev, miyat Kelev yichidasi, and we should be mizgaber on that klipah. And we'll see there's two koiches, as the koich of Ari, and the koich of a Kelev, and it's fascinating that Hein Am Kilavi, they're calling this mission against Iran, Hein Am Kilavi Yakum, which is the koyach, which is stronger than the koyach of the klipah from of the kelef, as we'll see. There's a klipah from a kelef, and the klipah from Ari, the koyach of Ari, koyach of a kelef, and we daven for the Eibishter that the koyach, that we should be mizgaber on the koyach of the kelef. We should be mizgaber like a koyach of Ari, Gur Arya Yehuda. We should be zeiche to have the gvura from Ari, and as we'll see, there's Hashem, and we should be magber on the koyach klipah from the koyach hatayva, from the Shmaelim, and yes, like the Rishna said that the geula is going to come b'koishi b'ayishani, like the b'ayishani, and as we'll see that the klipah from Korash is the klipah from b'ayishani, and we should be zeicher that klipah from b'ayishani, which is right now merumaz in the klipah from Iran, should be destroyed, and we should go up now to the Bayis Rishon of the koyach of the Ari. The Gemara in Masechtas Yuma says that there were 5 inyanim on the eish of the mizbach. One of them was that it looked like a lion sitting, powerful lion on the mizbach, and in fact the Gemara was sitting like a Ari. Reb Chanina Skenikaran said, I saw the eish of mizbach and it was sitting like a dog. Revutza Kakelev. The Gemara like Kasha came by Migdash Rishon, came by Migdash Sheni. The Migdash Rishon, it was Revutza Kari. The Migdash Sheni was sitting like a Kelev. And obviously, based on what we said until now, this is the Shorish of the Makar of the Inyonim, that there was a Koyach of Ari and the Koyach of a Kelev. The Bayis Rishon was the Koyach of Ari and the Bayis Sheni was the Koyach of a Kelev. And as we said, that Koyrash, which was the melech that let them build the Bayis Sheni, was mekusher in a kelev, and that's why the mizbeach, the ish of the mizbeach, was a busik kelev. And the Yaris Dvash is marich on this. But before we get to Yaris Dvash, I'll mention the Gemara in Soita. The Gemara in Soita says that before Kalzo was chayta in Arayis, the shchina was in everyone's house. But afterwards, after there were chayt in Arayis, maybe it means the story of Midian, I don't know exactly where that is, the Shechina went away from the house. Couldn't see the Yirchav Eres Dava, he couldn't see the Averis in the house. Possible what it means is that after Matan Torah Klal Zozeh, the Shechina in everyone's house, and after they fell down, the Egel and the Arayis and the Midian, now everyone's avoided from everyone the kedusha to be misakin this chet of Arayis and to bring in the shechin in their house. Now it's not a given, because again, before the chet of the egel, everything was a given. All the miles of Yanis are given. Before the chet of Otam Rishon, all the miles of Yanis were a given. Now after the chet of the egel, after the chet of Otam Rishon, we have to earn everything. So the chet of the egel brought the chet of the B'nais Midyan. Now we have to earn the shechin in our house. That could possibly be in the Gemara over here. The Gemara says, Shmuel B'chain says that someone does a mitzvah, the mitzvah goes in front of him when he was nifta. When someone does an avera, it goes in front of him l'olam haba. And the Gemara says that not only does it go in front of him, it's actually tied to him like a kelev. And the Yadarma says, what do you mean tied to him like a dog? The dog is the only animal that's connected to him with a leash. You don't find that with anything else. And the reason is because the dog, why does the dog have a leash? Because he was mishamish in the teva. There were 3 things the Gemara says in Sanhedrin that were mishamish in the teva: cham, oirev, and the kelev. And because he was mishamish in the teva, that's why he was nenished. He has to have a leash. The only animal that has a leash. Someone that's nishal and arayis is kshula like a kelev. The Gemara says kol boil aramis is kosher lifresh memena. Someone that's boiled nishal in arayis with the goyim is kshur like a kelev. It's shver to be polish memena. And the Gemara brings the makar from Yosef, L'shomela, Lishkav Etzla, Liasima, Lishkav Etzla Ba'olam Hazeh, Liasima Ba'olam Haba. So Yosef was nizer from Eshes Patifar. He he was nizer from being together with her. That's the Gemara Masechtas. And Gemara says that over here we see that the inyan from Arayis is Shur Kelev, that the inyan from Arayis in the room is in a Kelev, as we saw before from the Gemara. The Arsavash, when he comes to explain the Gemara we mentioned earlier, himself as Yuma, of the Eish of Bayis Rishon, Bayis Sheni, he says there are two different types of mashchisim. There's a mashchis Ari, and there's a mashchis of a Kelev. He says, the mashchis of Ari is leumas being nichshel in yayin nesach. He says that Noach that was nichshel in shtiyas yayin, a lion bit him. Daniel, which was goes to the Isser from Shtiyah Yain Nesach, was saved from the lion. Yehuda, which is the Koyach Kedusha of that Gur Ar Yehuda, he was benched with Kibus B'Yayin Levisha B'Yanam Susay, a tremendous amount of wine. So the Koyach of Ari is L'umas the Koyach of Yayin. If you're Nishma from Yain Nesach, you're zoichet to the gvura from Ari. If you're chas v'shalom nichshul yayin nesach, you could be nichshul from the mashchis, just like Noach was nichshul yayin, and he was goyv on him the klipah from Ari. He says, what's the idea of being what's the idea of being shomer from yayin nesach? The idea for shomer yayin nesach and having the koyach of Ari is because if you nichshul chas v'shalom in Yain Nesach, you can end up coming to the being boil bilas asuras. The yain is mechamim the person. The soifa little bilas asur. That's why Yosef was shomer himself from yain. He was a nazir. Why was Yosef a nazir? And that's why he was nitzel from Eshes Patifa. If he wouldn't be Yosef wouldn't be a nazir, he wouldn't be a nitzel from Eshes Patifar, and that's why he was a nazir. And you see that a nazir has to do with sheleg, with snow, because it says in Eicha, Zaki Nizreo Masheleg, the beauty Nazirim would be more beautiful, more clean than snow. Why is it? What does nazir have to do with snow? Because a nazir doesn't have that chamimis. Yosef was a nazir, he didn't have that chamimis. He was nichshel eshes petifa. So yayin nesach is supposed to avoid you from coming to schatim with umas oilam, and when you show him from yayin nesach, you zeiche to be goiver of the kedusha of Ari, like Yehuda. Give me Yosef that the Indian from Noach was nichshel from yayin, and he got bitten by a lion, like the Arsavash says. And then what happened in the end when he was nichshel in yayin? Chum was misarisim. Chum, which was also like the Kelev, was nichshel in Tashmish in the Teva, was Misaris' father. So you see from here that through being nichshel, Noach being nichshel in wine, he was bitten from a lion. He also had a pgam in being serious from Chum. The klipah from Taiva was goiv on him. That's the Indian from Ari. But he says that if Chas Shalom Soul Lamaisa is not nizer from the Shmir Gdorim Misiyagim, and he's taking nichshul in Yain Nesach, what happens in the end? He'll be nichshul in Bias Asiris, and Bias Asiris, when nichshul in Bias Asiris, then the klipah from the Kelev is goiv on you. That's what he says, and that's why. He says, why the Kelev? That's what he brings out the Gemara. We said earlier that from Koresh had a Kelev next to him. He was because the Kelev is Mun al Taibus and Mishgal. The same idea what the Moral says. He says that that's the idea that the the reason why he had a Kelv next to him, because the Kelv is Ramaz and Taibas HaMishgol. And he says that's why Klal Yisrael Mitzrayim, they were Prushim in B'nai Mitzrayim, they were Parish, they weren't Nichshel and Pritzis. That's why Lo Yechratz Kelv Hashoynai. Because Klal Yisrael was Nizar from Pritzis, Lo Yechshav Kelv Hashoynai. They were Nizar from Taharas HaMishpacha, Lo Yechratz Kelv Hashoynai. Why? Because Kelv is Merumaz in the Taiva. And the Taiva, when you're Parish from the Taiva, you're not Nichshel Bias Asuris, then you're Mizgaber on the Kelv. Of Chas Hashem Mechin Nichshel. In B'nai Sa'aretz, like Bayis Sheni, they were Nichshel B'nai Sa'aretz. That's why the Mizbech had the Tzura from a Kelv, because they were Nichshel and Arayis and Bayis Sheni, and that's why the klipah from the Kelv was goyvel on them. And that's what we said before, that the Koresh, the Geula came through Koresh, the Bini Beis Mikdash came through Koresh. Why? Because he was the klipah of Kelv, and under his Shlita Melucha, Akati Avde Achshverish Ad Koresh Anan, under his Melucha there was Bini Bayis Sheni. That's why because they were Nichshel B'nai Sa'aretz, that's why I have to come to the Teva and this Mahalach, and that's why the Mizbeach was under was with the fire on the Mizbeach was like a Kelv, and Koresh was a Yid, was Bas Esther, but he was Musarav in the Goyim, and that was the klipah of the Kelv that the Klal Yisrael was under the spell of that klipah of Bayis Sheni, of the Klal Yisrael being Mis'arav, B'nai Sa'aretz, B'nai Sa'aretz Olam, and that's why the whole matzav of Gula Bayis Sheni was different than Bayis Rishon. Even though there was a miyat that was nichshel by Hashem, most Klal Yisrael wasn't nichshel. But the Klal Yisrael, when we went out of Mitzrayim, the whole Klal Yisrael was nizar, except for one lady. Over here there was a starker koyach, it was a miyat, but there was enough that there were a few hundred people who found there was a grace in Mechsholim, and that's what. Maybe even more than that. That's why the klipah was goyver, and that's why there was a fire in the Mizbeach, was like a tzura from a kelef. It says that Gemara's in Megillah says that Esther was mispal to Eibishter when she came to be mevakesh from Achashverosh to be matzal Klal Yisrael from Purim. She's davened Hatzilu b'cherev nashim yad kelef v'chidasi. Save me from the sword of Achashverosh, make me find favor in his eyes. Save me from the Kelv. Save me from the Arya. Shemi Pi Arya. So the Gemara says that the Shechina, the Ruach HaKodesh left her when she came into the base at Tzlam going to Achashverosh. She says, Shema Atadon al Shogig Kamezin, maybe you treat me, I'm a Shogig, I know Achashverosh is going to have Mishamish, do Tashish with me. Yes, but I'm going for that soul from Klal Yisrael. Are you dan a shayik kamezid? Or maybe that's why the Ruach HaKodesh went away from me. Or maybe the reason why the Ruach HaKodesh went away from me was because I called. I said Atzilu Mecherev Nashmi Yad Kelef V'chidasi. I called Achashverosh a Kelef. So that's why I call him an Arya, a Shemi Pi Arya. What's the shmuz over here? B'negei us, what we're talking about, the shmuz was like this. She tinded. The Kelef Achashverosh Koresh, the koich of Paras is being misgarba on me. I'm forced to go to them. It's not by my own ratzon. I'm going to Matzah Klal Yisrael. Are you going to judge me like a mazid? Please. Don't come back to Ruach HaKodesh. Don't go away from me. Be with me. The klipah of be matzil me from the klipah of a kelef. I'm a oinus. I'm not a sheikh. I'm not a mezid. But then she chapped. Maybe the reason why the Ruach HaKodesh went away from her is because she called him a kelef. What does that mean? Because yes, she wasn't nichshel, but Klal Yisrael was nichshel. Klaus wasn't showing me Gedurim V'Siyagim. Klaus was Nichshel in Yain Nesach. Klaus was Nichshel in all the Geduris. In the Suvas Achashverish. There was a bunch of Arais, the Pritza from Arais there. There was Nichshel in Nesu and Teruvas. That happened a little later afterwards. But there was Nichshel in the problem of Arya. The klipah, the reason why she was Seifer Nichshel in Ba'inus was because in the beginning was amazed of Klal Yisrael. She was the symbol of Klal Yisrael. So she said, I'm not wrong. We had Kelef Chidasi, but she still had to down because the Klal Yisrael are various. She had to be Mizvada Klal Yisrael are various. Hashem be Pir Aryeh, because Klal Yisrael is Nichshel, amazing. We weren't Nizir and Gedorim Mesiyagas. That's the shmuz over here based on the taich of the Yaras Davash. Okay, and this is the Indian over here. The Indian is that the Bayeshayni, the Geula was Tachas Achshreish, which was Kelev. It was built with Koirash, who was a Kelev, all because they were Nichshel in all the Yonei Arayis. And it's fascinating to see that from the Rizal and the Sfarim bring down that someone that's nichshel in Arayis is actually Rachman Lasson Mizgalgul in a Kaleb and a dog. There's a story from Rabbi Yaakov Mutzpi. He was a Goyen, a tzaddik, Swedish Golden, lived not long ago. He said that once he had a widow, Almana, come to him and cried to him buckets of tears. He says, my husband was nifta a few years ago, and I saw my husband in a dream. He was tied with shackles, and he was angry, mad, and screaming with a loud voice, a barking voice like a dog. And because he was so angry, he wanted to bite me and wanted to rip me up into pieces. And she got so frightened, this Amona, that she woke up. He said, and she told Yaakov Mutzpi, this dream happened a bunch of times. And she came to Yaakov Mutzpi to be Meitiv Chala, to help her with this dream. And he asked, and so Yaakov Mutzpi says, I'm sorry, I can't help you. This is your fault. You were machshel, your wife, your husband, in Nidus, Issachar of Nidus. And he's coming back to you, and he wants to take the Kama. There's nothing I can do for you. It's you destroyed his life by being machshel in Nidus. And the baby, this almana, this widow, was crying and begging him, I want to tikkun, I want to do tshuva. Your husband's dead. You know what? Do you have any daughters? He asked him. She says, yeah, I have daughters, but they're not from. So he tells them, go tell them they should start, tell them about the dream, tell them that they should start being mekabel, they should mekabel themselves Taras Mashpacha. She says, but they're not from, they're not going to listen to me. She says, go cry to them, tell them, you have to cry to them. And said, tell them that your father has no menucha in the kever because of this avera. And that's what she did. And the Rav gave her a tikkun. And it seems like the daughters listened to her. And a while afterwards, the father came back to her wife, all happy and b'simcha. And that's how he had a tikkun. So we see over here the idea of how someone that is nichshel in arayis, in nidus, in Taras Mashpacha, the klipah from the Kelev of the dog is going on him. Another Maisa, Minchas Yehuda, the Sefer Minchas Yehuda, the Yehuda Pesaya, not the Svada Shagod. He says, I saw in a dream, this was his dream, I was walking Shabbos in the market, and I saw by the baker, there were two dogs that were barking to each other. And I saw that each one of them was a gilgal of a person. There was a big dog and a small dog. And the big dog was a person, 51 years old. His beard was burnt because of the oven of the bakery. And the second dog was another person. It was a small dog, which someone that was 45 years old. His beard was also burnt because of the fire of the oven. and they realize that they're people, and when they want to talk to each other, they can't talk to each other. They can only talk to each other through emotions with their mouth and their tongue. He says that's why they were barking to each other. These two neshamas wanted to communicate with each other, and that's why they were barking at each other. And he said, and when they saw me, they realized that I recognized them, and they were all embarrassed, and they put their heads straight down into the earth. This is all in this column. And each of them went to his place, and they stopped barking. It seems like this dream was a vision of something true. I'm not sure, but this is what he says. And he said, I didn't understand why these people were megolgol in the kelef. And afterwards I saw that the Rizal says that it says in the Medrash Tanchuma that someone is born a guy, if someone is intimate with a goita, she's kshura like a kelef. And he says that Rizal explains that what does that mean? That if someone is intimate with a goita, doesn't do tshuva, after his nifter, he'll have a gilgul, he'll go into a kelef. And these two people obviously were nichshel in bias asuris of the goita, and that's why they will nisgalgul in a dog. Another ma'aser in the Kaviyosher. Kaviyosher brings down, speaks about how bad it is to be a azaz ponim, and he says that someone that's a azaz ponim, it comes to gilgul and a shalik in a kelef. He says because the klovim are very azaz ponim. And he says, if you're going to think that our Gilgal and Kelv is not so bad, tell you a story what happened in the times of the Rizal. That in his times there was a ish chassid, and his wife used to do the business, and there was a neighbor, the neighbor. The neighbor ended up having a misa meshuna, a terrible misa. He was nifter. It was tremendous. It was disgusting. And his erva got rotten. It was terrible. He ended up dying. After he was nifter, this neighbor of this chassid, there was a black dog that used to come every day to this chassid, the Rav Avram house. He used to sit there and try to go into the house. And every morning, the chassid used to go out. There was this black, huge dog barking, a scary dog everyone was afraid of. And he used to make sure to close the door always. B'kitzur, one time, he forgot to close the door. The dog came in, ran around the house, jumped from room to room, ran on his wife's bed, started barking, screaming, and biting her. It wasn't good. And he hurt her so much that she started screaming. And the Rizal heard, I'm not sure what the Rizal heard means, either everyone heard about the story and the Rizal heard about it, or the Rizal actually was living next door and heard, or so loud that she heard, I don't know. But the Rizal heard about the story that the dog came into the house and bit this woman and after ran away, a big, blue, scary dog. And Rizal said the reason is because this woman who did business for her husband, who did business with this neighbor that was nifter, b'misa meshuna, with bad misa, and doing business with her, and with him, she was machshel him she was Eisa Shush, and she was machshel him. And that's why this guy came to take the kama of this lady. And he was with this galgal and this dog. That's because of the problem of the ish, she was this galgal and the dog. And so we see how the neshamas are being golden on the dog, and we see that they come back in the cholam on the dog. And one more thing, the Kin Zoyer is mevor, and the Kin Zoyer and Tikkun Ayin, we see that when a Chamal son, if someone's over in this world of Aveir, he gets Tomeh from the Tomeh Yoina, which is Merumas in the dog. And the Masim Udvash is Masbid that the Zohar says that they were talking about the dog, which is has to do with the chet of Chava and the Nachash. Again, the dogs and rumors in Taiva, and that's how the Nachash was machshel, Chava. He was Boalel. That's in the Taiva. And a person within the Zohar says that while a person is alive, he does have various, the koyach, the klipah of the kelef al yoina comes to it in is misaber, the tumah is misaber in him while he's alive. So not only after life, not only in the chalomis, the actual tumah of the kelef al yoina is misaber, it goes into a person when he's nichshel various in this world. Obviously, Efrat, Arayis, Kshur Bekelev brings down the idea, this idea that when a person is Chazshom Nichshol and Arayis is other various also, but Efrat Arayis is even while he's alive, the koyach of the Kelev gets stuck to him, and that's the Gemara says Lias Ima Bo'elam Haza that even this world the Kelev is Kshur Bekelev. So. And that was the klipah from Bahisheni. The Bahisheni, they were nichshel in Arayis, and that's why the Eish of the Mazbach was like a kelef, and the Koresh was married, was intimate with a kelef, all because, and this was the koyach of the Kalas from Bahisheni, because they were nichshel in Arayis, and they got rid of their own wives. And that's why they were in Zoiche to the Geula like the see in Mitzrayim. Which was Zoiche, he was Gaber on the klipah from the Kelef. Which was Zoiche, he was Gaber on the klipah from Paras, from Iran. Which was Zoiche, the Geula that right now was going Bekoishi. Until now was going Bekoishi. It was going Shverkeit. We were zeicha to such a skat, Klal Yisrael a few hundred years ago was never zeicha to so much Torah that we have today. Since Chorb Mikdash, they didn't have so much Torah. We were zeicha to Mashiach, most of the Klal Yisrael back to Eretz Yisrael. The Torah is blossoming, Klal Yisrael is doing chesed, Klal Yisrael has Oisha, so much good in Klal Yisrael. But everything is coming hard. Everything is painful. Everything is tachas the klipah from the Kelev. Iran had the koyach of the Kelev. We daven to Hashem, we should be zeichit him in his gaber on the klipah from the Keleb. We should be zeichit in his gaber on the klipah of Marie. We should be zeichit the Gur Arye Yehuda. Not by chance, the Eibishter Tzigafert, that through this, that even people that are not Shem Time Mitzvahs call this war Hein Am Kilovi Yakum. The Am Kilovi Yakum, the Gur Arye Yehuda. That we should be zeichit to not just the Ari, we should be zeichit to the Kedusha, Gura Yehuda from Yehuda. We should be zeichit to the Eish al Mizbeach, we should be zeichit to the Geula Shleima, the Mehira, B'Yameinu. Amen.